Welcome to What's Your Skroove, where we tell stories, share experiences, and get inside the minds of artists, athletes, creators, and musicians. All right, everybody, welcome to episode 18 of What's Your Skroove. Today we have on Joe Renkiewicz, the current manager and future owner of Henry the Hatter Incorporated in Detroit, Michigan. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Hey, thanks for inviting us to your beautiful shop. We like to try and go to our guests so we can kind of put their image into our viewers' eyes and kind of give them a tad bit of their experience. And I think after seeing this show, some people might want to come down and check out this.
It's a wonderful spot. Our new spot here, we've been open for 4 months. We did have a store on Broadway, open for 65 years. Lost the lease back in August. The owner and I searched around Detroit looking for a new spot, and here we are. We're home now.
It's a beautiful building, and it's right by Eastern Market, which is like prime location.
That's how we found it.
That's how we found you. We were down here for that, and we're like, there's a video of us. We're like walking by, and Kenny goes, "Oh, if that's a real hat store, we are so going there."
And then 2 days later, your customers.
I bought a hat. I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I walked in. You guys are super like warm and welcoming, and I mean, it can be a little intimidating walking in here with all these fancy, expensive hats, but you guys are super cool, and you guys had these hats. What kind of hat do I have on?
This one we call the Tilden Yancey. It was actually made in our factory at the Broadway store.
Okay.
Back in the 50s or 60s.
Really?
Made in store, yeah. It's an old style, but it's back in style again.
Okay, very cool.
Customers always ask us, what's the hottest hat? What's the newest trend? There's not really one. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you try a hat on and it doesn't look right, we'll let you know.
Right.
But, as you say, it's so intimidating when you walk in. All the different styles to match different people's face shapes.
Right. And it's kind of like whatever kind of suits your, suits you.
Yeah, one of the things we try to tell our customers is, if you come in asking for a certain style, we'll show you that style. But if we feel it doesn't work for your face, we'll show you something similar.
Gotcha.
We need you to come back, so we're not going to send you out looking like a clown.
Right, exactly. Unless, of course, you want to be a clown.
No, that's true.
Well, I was like, I just want to go back to like my hat real quick because I walked in here and I've always wanted a fancy hat is what I call it. I love that style. And I walked in here and you guys were like, oh, there's those hats over there. They're on sale. And it was super reasonably priced. It was like $40 for this hat. And I was like, I can afford that. I mean, I expected to spend a lot more money. I didn't know how much it would cost. And of course, you do have, I think, like $600 hats.
They go anywhere from our felt dress hats are going to go anywhere from $30 to $600.
Really?
And that was super. I think I was surprised by that and appreciated that because same thing. I had this connotation that all these hats would be like way out of the price range, but there are definitely affordable and more luxurious options, which I think is super. That's a nice dynamic to have. Because it can attract all crowds. Yeah,
and the thing is, a lot of the hats look alike, and the price difference is how they're made. Different materials. You start with a wool hat in the $40, $50 range. I can show you that same style at $100, $170, $300. So, I mean, it's just the materials that the hats are made out of.
So that is kind of the variable of, obviously brand, but like the type of material that it's made out of is kind of the variable of what makes it expensive.
Exactly. Yeah.
So why are certain materials, do they like wear better or like work better in the rain or like, what?
Most of the wool hats that we carry are going to be treated to be water repellent. So they spray them with a Scotch Guard or some type of Teflon coating to make them water and stain repellent. Mm-hmm. When you get into a fur felt hat, which they're going to start at rabbit fur, they have a natural oil in the fur that makes them water repellent. Then you go to your higher ends, you get the beaver hats. I mean, you see the old cowboy hats on TV with the water just rolling off. They're standing in the rain.
Is that why?
That's what a beaver hat does.
Really?
Yeah, they live in water, so that's not going to damage a hat.
So my hat, I was going to ask you guys, can I wear this in the rain?
Yeah, that's the rabbit fur.
Is it? Okay. Yeah. That's cool.
It's just with the lip that you have on there, it's going to collect water before it rolls off.
Make sure to dump
it a little bit, yeah.
I don't know where we want to start. Let's start where, how did you get into this business? Yeah. And when? How old were you?
I was just a kid, 22 years old. Just got back from my honeymoon. I was working in a bakery in Hamtramck, and my high school principal stopped in and says, "Hey, what are you doing?" I explained to him I'm working for the bakery, and he set me up with an interview for Henry the Hatter at Woody Pontiac as a car salesman. I came down and interviewed with Henry the Hatter at the Broadway store. And they sort of hired me. They wanted somebody that was local in Hamtramck because they had just bought a store in Hamtramck.
Okay.
And I went and interviewed, and they asked me to start January 3rd. 1985, and I've been here ever since.
Really? That's awesome.
That is awesome.
So you started in the Hamtramck store?
Yeah.
Okay, very cool.
I transferred to the store in Southfield in 1991 when they opened, and I work both Detroit and Southfield now.
Okay, gotcha. And like you're always into hats, or?
Oh yeah, I collected hats when I was a kid. I've got pictures at the other store. Easter Sunday, my 3-button suit, little bow tie with my. At that time we called it the hanky panky hat.
Really?
Yeah, that's the way my dad dressed us when we were kids.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great.
So Henry the Hatter is it America's oldest hat shop?
Yeah, United States oldest retail hat store.
Oh my goodness.
125 years old.
125 years.
That's
now.
incredible.
That is so cool. Now I don't know how much knowledge you have in this subject, but kind of like the history of hats, like what is like the functionality? Is it like a status symbol? Did it start off as like a status symbol?
It actually started off as a protection from the elements, basically.
Okay.
When the guys were going out to the Old West, never knew what the weather was going to be like, and the doctors have proven if you've got a hat on, you're going to be much warmer. A lot of the body heat travels out through the head.
Okay.
So keeping your head protected, it keeps you a lot warmer in the winter.
And then it kind of like later in times became more of like a status symbol thing? Or
Yeah,
what?
it did become a status thing. You look at the older pictures where guys, in tuxedos and top hats. That's the most formal shape is going to be your top hat. And coming down, the next one is a Homburg, and then derbies, and then your fedoras. Back in the day, though, when the President of the United States was inaugurated, they always wore a top hat.
Oh, really?
We were lucky enough to donate a hat to President Eisenhower.
Oh, really?
But he didn't want a top hat.
Really?
He wanted a Homburg style, which is a curled up brim, just to show that the United States was going through a very austere. They didn't want to show that they were outclassing everybody else.
Really?
So he didn't want to be in that top level hat.
All right.
So he got the next.
That's super interesting.
So
but it was a Henry the Hatter hat.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that like Abe Lincoln, why he wore a top hat, or where did that originate from?
Most of the presidents, when they were inaugurated, they always wore top hats. That was just the formality of that office.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And people want to know why hats went out of favor. Everybody says, President Kennedy was inaugurated, didn't have his hat. He did have one, but it was too small for him.
Really?
So,
Really?
Yeah. And then at that time of the, in that century, as cars became more prevalent, you didn't have to stand out there waiting for streetcars or buses and things. So it was more like you didn't have to wear it to protect yourself from the weather anymore.
Right.
And is that why, like in movies, you see all these people, they come inside and they take off their hat because it was more of just like a form of protection?
Yeah.
And is it like a respect thing when you're inside?
It is,
you don't wear your hat?
Yeah, and the younger guys, they figure if they're buying a hat and they're going to wear it inside or out, it doesn't matter.
Right, yeah.
The older guys, they'll take it off when they walk into a building.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never understood how in like all these TV shows and movies, people take their hats off it's like the 20s, 30s, or like turn of the century stuff, and their hair is still like perfect. And when I wear a hat, I take it off
It's you got a ring around. Yeah,
Because it's the TV and movies.
Yeah, I know.
That's right. Yeah. There's some good editing over there.
Yeah, I know. You get me every time. I can try that, but it's not going to work out well for me.
Right.
So I think I'll just leave it on.
Yeah, but nowadays it's we're seeing a lot more doctors tell people to wear hats, just sun protection, things like that. So it's still a good idea to always have something on your head.
Now, how knowledgeable are you in like the actual art of hat making?
Hat making, I've read up about things like that. I've actually, most of the stuff that I do is just self-taught.
Okay.
When I first started, we didn't have a heated hat block to stretch hats out, and I've busted a couple of them open.
Oh, really?
Just stretching them too far.
Oh, wow.
Just couldn't control the tension on the hat block itself. Now that everything's heated, we'll steam it and heat it, and it'll slowly stretch to reshape the hats. But just watching videos. There's some great videos on how hats are made, just starting with the basic fur and how they're shaped into different things. It's always good to read and watch.
Now, I follow this one guy, and on his website, it kind of shows the process of him making a hat and whatever material he's using, and he's stretching it. And at the end, he lights a match and he lights it on fire.
Yeah,
What
it
is
sort of takes all the loose fibers that are just hanging out. You can sand it off. You can, but I've seen that same thing with the guy taking a torch and burning them off.
Yeah.
It just makes a smoother finish to the hat itself.
And you feel really cool when you do it.
Oh yeah, it just smells a little bit.
A
Burning
little
hair is not a real.
All the out of the beaver fur burning up on you, right?
Yeah.
So, hat etiquette, I think, is super interesting because it's something like we didn't know a lot about, and then you guys taught us like when we came in the store, very politely, I might add, like, you know, helped us learn how to handle. What are some of the big misconceptions or things people do wrong? The first thing they do when they come in the hat.
First thing they do wrong is they'll grab a hat, especially like what I have on, and they'll squeeze right up in the crown here. It's a straw hat. Some of the companies are getting smart and they're putting a rubberized silicone in there, so you can't squeeze it, and if you do, it's not going to crack.
Okay.
But the worst thing to do is continuously grab it at the top there. The hat will crack, whether it's straw, whether it's fur, even the wool hats. Too much pinching will crack that hat.
Really?
Yeah. What we ask our customers when you walk into the store is look around. If you see a style you like, let us get it out of the case for you. We've got them stacked a certain way, so we know where the sizes are in the cabinets. Sure. You know, we don't mind you touching them after a while, but especially first time you're in the store and you don't know about hats, let us grab them for you.
You're supposed to grab it by the brim, right?
Always by the brim, yeah.
And then you put it, it's like back to front and like front to back. Like when you put it, is there a certain method?
Yeah, it's just, well, you want to put it on to where it's going to be comfortable on your head. I personally, when I put a hat on, excuse me, just the shape of my head, I pop the top out, but I touch my left ear, and I keep it up off my right. Oh. That's just my personal style.
That's your style. Got it. Excellent. Now, when you bought yours, what was that with like the lapel strap or something like that? Because I thought
there's a little button with a string on the top. It's called a wind trolley. Again, back in the day when guys were dressed and they had to wait for a streetcar or a train, they would unhook that, and on their top coat there's a little buttonhole in their lapel. That button would go in there. So if the hat did fly off, it would only go a foot and a half behind you, and it would stay there. Most of the companies that are putting those on the hats now is just a rubber band with thread wrapped over it. So it's just a decoration. Okay. Yours is a real one.
So is that what the buttonhole on the lapel was made for? Because I've always wondered, like, why is that
You'll
there?
see guys put their boutonnieres or flowers in there, but yeah, that's what it was originally made for.
It's incredible.
It's so funny, like everything has like a purpose. Like, you know, they had like the old little like stopwatch pockets and like the vest and stuff like that.
So I'm trying to think, like, what year did you say you started?
1985.
So did you see like a lot of cultural trends from like pop culture and movies and TV affect like hat sales? Like, I mean, I know this was before you were working, but like stuff like when Frank Sinatra was wearing the style of hat he was, was that like a major influence on like your guys' market and stuff like that?
Even now, I mean, well, you know, when I started, it was Indiana Jones. Everybody wanted to be Indiana Jones, and we had them in black, blue, brown, gray, every color imaginable.
They'd come in and ask for them?
They'd come in and ask for Indiana Jones hat, yeah. In the original movie, he wore two different hats, in fact. One that they still make now is called the Stetson Temple. Okay. It's just a regular dress hat, a fedora. When he was dressed as a professor, that's the hat he wore. When he put his leather on, it was a totally different hat.
Really?
You know, downturned brim, all dusty and everything.
Nobody would have known except this guy. You know, Uncle Joe noticed this.
But no, we still carry a hat called the Sinatra.
Really?
In the summertime, it's called the Sinatra. In the same shape in the wintertime, we call it the Astaire.
Really?
So, I mean, styles from manufacturer to manufacturer are very similar, but basically, you can put whatever name you want on it. If somebody wears that hat, you can name it after that person.
That's interesting.
You know, the most recent one was the guy from Breaking Bad.
Oh, really? Walter White.
Yeah, I mean, we sold a ton of what they call a pork pie hat just because of that TV show.
Really? That's super interesting.
I feel like hats, a lot of younger people are getting into hats now. It's becoming more of like a fashion thing. Yeah. And I've seen a handful of brands on Instagram like pop up that I followed, and it's a lot of a younger crowd versus kind of what I was used to growing up. Like older people wearing hats.
Instagram is the cause of that.
Yeah,
so, I mean, we're happy either way. Most of our customers are still going to be in the 40 to 60, 40 to 80 year old range. We are seeing a lot of younger people come in, which is great, but it is because of the social media. I mean, that's just been a big boost in our business.
Really, that's good.
How that social media can influence your guys' like sales and like movies and TV shows. Like that's so crazy. Like somebody wears it in an AMC TV show and it blows up and it's a super popular show and you guys sell a bunch of pork pie hats.
Yeah, even something like the guys on The Voice I was watching the other night. Flat brim hats, whether they have an open crown or they have a pinch in there. People come in the next day and say, I saw that guy on TV. I want that hat.
Can you do that for me? Like, as a matter of fact, I can.
In fact, look right over there. We've got it.
That's great. I always think of, like, I saw that top hat, like, first of all, in that sick box under there. And I remember me Gangs of New York, like the Daniel Day-Lewis, like, they're all wearing those, like, turn of the century.
I believe that hat came from our store. on Broadway. It was the only thing that survived the fire in 1952.
Really?
I think that's the only thing that came out of that store.
That box that it's in is cool enough in itself.
Yeah.
So what happened with the store? Did it completely burn down?
Just the main floor. It was the original building was a German restaurant. I mean, I've got pictures from like 1907 from that building. I just studied the history of it. From there, transferred to a bank, and the walls were so thick and the cement and everything that it just burned the cabinets on the main floor, and that was
really?
it. Wow. So 6 months later, we reopened in that same spot.
So is that actually a top hat, or did I call it
That
the
is
wrong
a top
thing?
hat.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, I got one right.
Yeah.
All right, good. You know, I'm amateur at best. So, what would you say? I just got a couple questions because I think some people that might be curious about buying a hat might have some of these similar questions. So, like, what is like the most popular style that you would say right now that you sell the most of, maybe?
Basically, right now is the hat that you're wearing.
Okay.
The short brim. They call it a stingy brim hat.
Okay.
In a pinched crown.
Okay.
You know, that same profile we probably carry in the pattern that you're wearing. We've got 6 colors. I've got it in 7 solid colors.
Oh, wow.
I've got 3 other patterns that same shape is made in. So I mean, it's a very popular shape for guys with a thin face and bigger guys.
Really?
They love that style.
Excellent.
You know, you have the option of wearing it the way you have it. You have the option of snapping the brim down.
right there.
Gives it a totally different look.
The model today.
Yeah.
So, what would you say? Because, like, I guess, like, one thing we were talking about, kind of joking, but like, don't really know what hats can be. I mean, obviously, it's whatever your style is, but what are you supposed to be like? Is that style hat made to be worn with like more dress clothes? What stuff can be worn with? I'm sorry, I'm stuttering all over the place with more casual stuff. You know what I mean? Like on an everyday basis.
Yeah, I think it depends on the fabric that you're wearing too.
Okay.
What we try to do is we ask you what you're wearing it with. If you're doing a suit and tie, we'll show you something that's got a little bit more shape to it, a nicer, dressier shape.
Sure.
The one that you're wearing, it's hard to match with a suit because of all the different colors in the hat. It looks like a textured hat, so it's not going to go well with a solid brown suit. It's just too many things going on in that hat. So both the material that the hat's made out of and the pattern that it's finished in is going to determine dress or casual.
Excellent.
Okay, very cool. So here's something that we've heard, and I want to get your 2 cents. I don't know if it's true. Matt is a hatter. Where does that originate from?
Back in the day, they used to use mercury. I don't know how they did it, but it did something to smooth the fur on the hat. Similar to how they burn them now.
Yeah.
It did something to just, I mean, the hats that were finished with mercury had such a nice feel to them. We still get vintage hats in for cleaning and blocking and repairs that it was just something that the mercury did to the hat. Well, when they found out that mercury was actually leaching through the skin and killing people, making them go insane, they stopped using mercury to
Really?
finish hats. Yeah.
That is a hatter. There you have it, folks.
That's very interesting. So, and like when were they like actually making? Because this is a Henry the Hatter brand hat.
Yeah.
What time frame were they actually making their hats from?
Well, they opened a store on Broadway in 1952. I believe the factory started in the mid '60s and it ran to 1985. So they were actually manufacturing their own hats on the second floor at the Broadway location. Unfortunately, 1985, it was like a Friday afternoon at 5 o'clock. They turned the power off and never came back to work.
Oh wow!
So
Really?
prior to us closing, the machines were still up there, and there were hats in the process of being made on the different blocks and on the different machines, and it just, like I said, time stopped. They shut the
Wow.
machines off at 5 and never came back.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
We got lucky though, because we've had some interest in people purchasing all of the manufacturing equipment that we had. So we got
really?
lucky.
Good.
A bulk of it went to Utah. Another bunch of actual hat manufacturing machines went to Wisconsin. There's
okay.
a friend of ours that has a hat manufacturing shop there, and it's a small shop, and he does them, dozen at a time.
Right.
Sweet.
Yeah,
That's so
and,
cool.
and a lot of our vintage ribbons. We sold off to other hat manufacturers too.
What do you
So
mean by-
nothing went to waste.
What do you
Yeah,
mean by
what's a
vintage
ribbon?
ribbon?
Well, the ribbon that's around the hat.
Okay.
The newer ribbons that you go to like Joann Fabrics or any of the fabric stores now, they're not as pliable and they don't
Okay.
fit around the hat as nice as the older ones.
Okay.
The older hats, it depends on how far back you go, the crowns were straighter. So the ribbon fit real tight around the hat. The newer hats, there's more taper in the crown, more shape in the top, to where you have to sort of steam that ribbon. And the new ribbon doesn't steam and stretch like the older ones did.
Okay.
So trying to repair a vintage hat with new ribbons sometimes doesn't work as well as it should.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I got a piece of history on my head right
That's
here.
right.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yes, you do.
That's right. And it'll protect you from the sun, the rain, the snow, all the elements. And if
the
you're wearing a
elements,
suit,
right.
you can protect yourself from the wind. You're set like with that.
And you guys do like, if people already have a hat, they can come in here and get it clean and blocked.
Yeah, we
right?
offer a couple of different things. We do a steam and brush job right here in the store. It's $12.50. Steam it, get all the surface dust lint off. We've got a brim flange that we can reshape the brims on.
Okay.
We do that right in store. If it's the hat is actually dirty where the fur is, if there's dirt embedded into the fur, we send it out for a factory clean and block.
Oh, sweet.
Where the hat is, they take the lining out, they wash that separate. They actually wash the hat in a kerosene-based chemical and stiffen it, reshape it, and put the hat back together.
Very interesting.
So how much do you know about Henry the Hatter himself?
Well, I understand that he was State of Michigan boxing commissioner.
Okay.
So if you look around our store, we do have photographs of different boxers that came. In fact, I understand that back in the 20s, there was a magazine called the American Hatter magazine, and Henry the Hatter got fined for littering.
Okay.
And it was talking about how to advertise your business. And what they were doing is anytime there was a big boxing match, Henry the Hatter would have a coupon printed on a flyer where you'd get a discount on a hat cleaning or a discount on a hat itself, a 25-cent coupon for a discount fight ticket, and they hired an airplane and threw these flyers out of the airplane.
No way.
Yeah, so any ones that hit the ground and the city had to clean up, Henry the Hatter got fined for littering.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
no way.
But yeah, there's a lot of pictures around here of boxers.
Okay.
There's a famous one of a lightweight champion, Benny Leonard, from I believe it was 1913. Jack Dempsey up here from 1919. There's a couple from Max Baer on the other wall here. So I mean, besides Henry the Hatter being a hat man, he was the State of Michigan boxing commissioner. He played the drums in the Masonic Temple Band. I believe he was on the school board too, but that one I'm not sure of.
Really?
And I feel like it's so fitting. The guy that is the Hatter is like the boxing commissioner.
Yeah,
You
I know, like that culture, like I feel like collides really well. Yeah, for sure.
And you know, throughout the history, though, there's again other pictures on the walls of movie stars when they came down to do shows at the Fox Theater or any of the massive theaters that were down here. Yeah, there's pictures all over the place here.
Yeah, you guys
and you know, when we packed up the store, you know, 65 years worth of history, there were just boxes and boxes of photographs and. You know, there was just too much stuff for us to go through.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got them all warehoused. We're going through them as we speak, just trying to, you know, catalog all the things that we have.
Right.
If those walls could talk.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. In fact, if they could talk, they'd tell you that Kid Rock was a customer of ours, and well, he still is. But the first time I met him, I was at the Broadway store, and we just got new carpeting, probably 3 weeks prior, and he walked in and brought in he's smoking a cigar.
Oh,
and you know, you're not supposed to smoke in the building anymore.
But it's Bob Ritchie.
But it's Bob. Yeah. So he puts a cigar on the edge of the counter, and a 1-inch long ash drops right into the brand new carpet.
Oh.
And I looked at the owner, and the owner looked at me, and we all looked at Bob. And he just took his foot and just made sure the ash was out. And we said, "That's okay, Bob. Go ahead."
Wow. Did you have like a little burn mark in your
car? No, it was
really?
it was good that it was just the dry ash that hit. It wasn't any flame or anything.
What kind of hat does he typically wear?
He's been buying hats from us for years, even before he was Kid Rock, I guess.
Right.
But his current style is the Dobbs Parker. It's actually a straw hat, just a basic center crease. What he likes to do, though, he'll buy the hat 2 sizes too big. And you know, when I first met him, I got the hat that I thought was going to fit him correctly, and to my knowledge, it did. But he likes to wear his tucked down on his head, and he actually tucks his ears inside the hat.
Really?
And you know, I come to realize that it could be just to keep the monitors in while he's on stage.
Oh,
so it's
interesting.
Yeah, but you know, people come in and say, "I saw Kid Rock. I want that Kid Rock hat," and we've got them in 4 different colors on the shelf.
They got everything.
That's something else that's like super iconic. You know, you talk about like Walter White, but like Kid Rock is from like Michigan,
from here,
from Detroit, and he I mean, it's really well known for like his hat.
His hat,
It's very iconic on him.
Yeah, and then I don't know if you're familiar with the show The Peaky Blinders, but they it's like a turn of the century England. They all wear like the paperboy hats, and like in the show they put like the razor blades in the back and stuff. So
No, I heard you mention that the first time you were in that
That's
mirror there. Yeah,
that's a super cool show, and like that was the first I saw that. I'm like, dude, The Peaky Blinders. So that's super cool. Yeah.
I said, what the hell is he talking about?
Yeah, you gotta look that one up. It's a.
I feel like
cool.
you might like that show. It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
We'll check it out.
So, personally, how many hats do you own?
You know, I'd say a year ago, I couldn't tell you that. I just recently moved, and
Now you had to find out.
Yeah, I've got boxes at home, and they usually hold 6 or 7 hats in each box. And when I moved 8 of them, and there were still some single boxes, I said I got to start purging some hats. So, you know, I've got a couple that I'm not going to get rid of, my grandpa's old hats, things like that.
That's cool.
But I wear hats until there's nothing left of them.
Really?
You know, I've got a favorite hat that I bought from Paul's dad. In it's before he passed away, so it's probably 1989 maybe, that I just wear. I've replaced the sweatband inside 3 times. I've had the ribbons replaced 3 times. A lot of the work I do myself on my own hats.
That's
I like
cool.
to do that. But yeah, and when I put it on now, Paul, the current owner, says, time to buy a new one. I says, no, this one's not going anywhere.
That's right. When you
It's,
get a
it's just a
favorite-
bad weather hat. You
Yeah.
know, it fits so comfortable that you don't want to get rid of them.
That's interesting. Kind of like a good pair of shoes or jeans
exactly.
or something like that.
Yeah.
And then what would you say your favorite hat is, or style of hat, or
Pretty much what I've got on.
Really?
Yeah, I like the older styles, the ones from 40s and 50s, a little bit wider brims, similar to this. I've got a couple that I've actually reshaped myself. Just the more vintage look I like. Today's hats, they were all tapered, really funny to me.
Yeah, right.
I think I was born a couple of decades too late. But yeah, I like the older styles where you can actually shape them yourself. When I first started here, in fact, there was a Borsellino was the brand name. They would sell us a hat in 8 different colors.
Oh, really?
And at that time we called it the Borsellino Ranger. And what we did in our store in Hamtramck, there was such a big display window that we put over 100 hats just in the display window itself. So we've got these 8 hats. They all say Borsellino Ranger, but each one had a different shape in the crown because
Really?
it came in with no shape. So every salesperson shaped it to what they thought they would look in.
Oh, wow.
And
That's
it worked out real
interesting.
well. And that's how I started learning that. Just by trial and error.
Really?
Yeah, just grab a hat, start playing with it. If it comes from the factory with no shape, you just mess with it and a little bit
Give
of
it some
steam, it'll
character.
lock it right in.
So
Yeah.
that's what you do, like to shape the hat. You steam it a little bit.
Yeah,
and that
steaming
makes it like malleable.
on a felt hat. The steaming will actually soften the fur, soften the body of the hat. So you can reshape it. As it cools, it will stiffen up. Sometimes we use a little bit of spray starch or hat sizing. But yeah, most of the time, just to steam it, reshape it, and let it cool, it'll stiffen right back up.
really?
And the brushes are just for like cleaning it off.
Yeah,
some?
surface dust, lint, things like that. Yeah.
Really, that's very cool.
So this is a platform to you, or for you to use to say anything you want to the listeners of this show. What would you want to convey? I mean, anything about the store or the history or the hats or anything?
Well, at this time, I'd like to welcome everybody into our new store. If you don't travel to the Eastern Market to check out this store, we do have a store out in Southfield yet. Both stores will accommodate anybody that wants to try on a hat. And we've had customers over the years that they'll come in on a weekend, try a couple of hats on, say I'll be back. We'll see them a month later, try a hat on, I'll be back. Even if they're coming in just to see how they look in different styles,
Right.
it will make them a customer in the future.
Right, for
So
sure.
we welcome the people to come in just even to try them on.
And it's a fun experience. Like I never envisioned getting the opportunity, because you see all these hats in like these movies and like the pop culture, like you say, and then here in one location, you can like literally one of the employees that goes, dude, you got to see the Indiana Jones hat. So like you put me in that, and I got to try on all these cool iconic hat styles. So it is a fun experience, and you can try all these different things, and you might just find something that's right for you, like this hat.
Yeah, we're not here twisting arms. I
Right,
mean, if
yeah.
you like the hat, we're going to try to sell it to you, but we're not twisting arms.
Right.
We want you to be happy with your purchase.
Yeah, and I've always, like I said, I've always wanted like a fancy hat, a cool hat, and I came in here and like that was like right up my alley. I was like, oh, and it was in my price range. I was like,
There's
it
probably
fit?
2 or 3 other colors in your size too. So
oh, good.
before
Oh,
you
We're
leave.
gonna have to buy them out.
I think I got a 7 1/8 or 7 1/4. So yeah, I have to go check that out. That blue one in the middle with that cool little
That
ribbon
is sick, yeah.
around the top is pretty sick.
Yeah. Oh, what is that one on top?
The one on top
I'm gonna go
is
get that
actually
so they can see it on
yeah.
camera.
The Stetson.
It's a Stetson. It's called the Tom Mix. That one was actually donated as a sample to us. It's part of the owner's personal collection. It is still being manufactured by Stetson.
That's a crazy hat.
We do have customers still looking at it. It's basically it's one of those hats where a customer comes in and they're just goofing around, want to see what they look like, and they always throw that one on. So
Really?
I mean, that's going to be hopefully that's going to be our iconic hat that's going to show up on everybody's Instagram post.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to try it on.
That is a cool hat, and the feathers are. Those are pretty sweet.
Yeah, our new assistant manager here at the store is her name is Katie. Just been doing a wonderful job dressing hats, feathers, different hat bands, things like that. She's actually taking care of our Instagram and Facebook posts now.
That's cool.
Yeah, just helping us out a lot with that. And then when women come in looking for hats, basically they're 95% men's hats, but the way she dresses them with the feathers and the trims, women are eating them up.
That's
Really?
sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to ask you that when I came in here. Like, what is a men's hat? What is a woman's hat?
A lot of the styles are very similar. Most men's hats that you see, they're going to have any ornamentation on the left side of the hat, whether it's a bow, a crisscross ribbon. In fact, on yours, you've got the feather on it. Women's hats can be on the right or pretty much anywhere else.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so
the styles are the same.
Okay.
We've been selling a lot of the wider brims to ladies. In this new location, we're having a lot more women come in shopping. It's more families that come in, especially on the weekends, to where we've got the guy in the back trying to sell them a dress hat, and mom and kids are up front, and we're trying to hit them with hats and caps.
That's
up front.
awesome.
So we're trying to get the whole family involved in hats. So
That's
it's
great.
good.
So I was like the feather. Was there a function behind that, or a reason, or is it just for flair style?
Just for flair, style, aesthetics. If you buy a basic hat, whether it's gray or black, if you're going to wear a different color in something else you're matching, something in the tie or something, you can get a feather just to bring all the colors together.
People own multiple feathers and swap them out. So I'm wearing a blue tie.
Exactly.
Really,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
And the same thing with the summer hats. If a guy's not sure what he's going to wear, it's always best to go either white or cream. And then we've got different hat bands you wrap right around the hat. So you can buy one hat, 30 different color ribbons, and you got 30 hats.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's what I might have to do, because the feather's 75 cents. Like, oh, dude, I want a feather in my hat for sure. I'll spice
And
it up.
how that word macaroni got in there with Yankee Doodle, we have no idea.
To this day, it's still
it's still a mystery.
So have you guys been seeing a lot of foot traffic since you've been around the Eastern Market area?
We have, yeah. The weekends are pretty amazing here. We're experiencing once we get our full complement of summer hats in, we're going to advertise again that this is our new location. Come check us out. During the week, it's a little slow, which is good because our regular customers find us and there's plenty of parking. On the weekends, it's just been amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're very happy. Very happy.
What advice? Because this is we had a sign painter on he does hand painted signs, and which is a very non-traditional thing nowadays. And I think what you guys are doing here is very non-traditional in the sense of your range of inventory, and especially with everything like Amazon and all these huge ways that you can purchase anything. But you guys really deliver an experience here, which I think is the reason people come back, and it's Detroit and that culture and everything. What advice might you give to somebody who wants to get involved into something that's not as mainstream, but is really something they're passionate about and they want to keep going?
Yeah, the passionate thing is knowing your merchandise, and customer service. I mean, you can buy a hat on Amazon, like you said. If it doesn't fit, you send it back. You have to get another one. Here, if you're in between sizes, we've got ways to adjust the hat. We can stretch a hat. We can tighten it. The service that we give, not only on the purchase, but if it needs to be freshened up, it needs to be clean or anything like that, we're happy to do that on anybody's purchase here.
That's great.
Yeah. And that's what you guys did for me. I really like this hat, and it's from the 60s or whatever, and it's don't make it anymore. And it was a size too big, so they brought it down a little bit. Now it fits perfectly.
Yeah, we could do that with virtually any hat.
That's awesome.
Resize them.
That's very cool.
Yep.
Do you have anything else that you would like to?
Not that I can think of right now. No, I think we got a lot of questions answered.
I think so too. I think we covered some good ground. Joe, anything else that you'd like to mention?
No. Again, we're open for business Monday through Saturday, both locations. Just welcome to Henry the Hatter.
All right, check these guys out. Follow them on Instagram.
What's the Henry the Hatter Detroit?
Yeah.
Henry the Hatter Detroit.
Yeah, so follow them. I mean, they put out some cool stuff. They have some really interesting people come through, which I think is awesome. Like
Yeah.
in the 60 Seconds of Skroove, they had Kim the Alligator Man,
Yeah.
and then they had the guy with the big fur hat in there.
Oh,
So
just
he's-
the Hitman.
The Hitman, yeah, the Hitman.
Yeah,
Would you say
yeah.
it was like a mink?
Yeah, he had a short mink jacket on. I guess they call it blonde mink. It wasn't
Okay.
mahogany because that would have been too dark. And he had the mink fedora to match. So I mean,
looks
that's the
sick.
Hitman. Yeah.
So if you come in the store, you might get to experience some of that, but you can get a lot of that on their Instagram too.
Just
So
shoot 'em a
follow
follow,
them,
yeah.
yeah, and then Facebook, anything. Show these guys some love.
Can
so,
come in and try on a hat too.
Yeah.
yeah, come on and try it.
yeah.
You'll have fun. I can almost guarantee it.
Yep.
So,
They'll take care of you.
all right, Joe. Well, thanks
Joe.
for
Thank you.
hosting, man.
Thank you very much. Good to see you guys.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. All episodes of What's Your Skroove are available on iTunes. And if you like the show, be sure to rate, subscribe, and leave a comment. As always, there are free stickers on our website, www.skroovco.com. We'll see you guys next time.